Hi guys, welcome back. When I first got this Attractions Biltbuck Lot.269 engineer boots in black steerhide, they felt more like equipment than footwear. Stiff, structured, and honestly a little punishing. 3 months later, they are still firm, but the leather is starting to give in. The breaking is underway, the look has shifted slightly, and the boots feel different on foot than they did on day one. Brand new, the boots had a mirror-like black finish. The shaft stood straight and unbending. The toe box was sharp and structured, and the soles looked pristine. Wearing them at first was tough. The leather resisted every step. The shafts rubbed against my calves. They weren't painful exactly, but they were stubborn, like they didn't want to cooperate yet. Now, 3 months in, they still look clean overall, but side by side with brand new, the changes are clear. The shafts aren't quite as rigid anymore. They started forming small folds around the ankle and the calf. The vamp has light creasing, showing where the leather bends when I walk. The toe box is holding shape, but feels less like a hard shell, and more like something that's starting to move with my foot. The black steerhead hasn't transformed dramatically yet, but you can see where it's beginning. Across the vamp, the creases are setting in. Not deep yet, but permanent. Where the boots flex, the finish lightens a touch, breaking up the uniform shine. There are a few small scuffs that caught onto the surface. They don't vanish when brushed, but they don't stand out harshly either. At this stage, the leather feels like it's just opening up, giving me glimpses of the depths it will eventually show. One of the biggest differences is in how the boots fit. At first, they felt like tubes on my legs. The shafts were stiff, and the instep felt snug. Now they slip on more easily. The shafts have started to mold, curving with the calf instead of standing straight out. The instep stretched just enough to stop fighting against my foot. The overall shape hasn't collapsed at all. They still look structured, but they lost some of that brand new stiffness in their stance. Comfort has improved, but they're not fully breaking yet. The first couple weeks, every step was a reminder that I was wearing tough leather. The shaft stuck in a little, and the flex at the vamp felt unnatural. At 3 months, that's easing up. The vamp bends more easily, the shafts rub less, and the footbed has started to take on the shape of my foot. They are not effortless yet, but I can wear them for a full day without noticing the same resistance I felt in the beginning. It feels like the boots are meeting me halfway now. Looking underneath, they also show slight wear. The heel edges are rounded off, especially on the outer side, which lines up with the way I walk. The forefoot has less scuffing, but the stitches and the welt look untouched. No problems there. The buckles and straps are breaking in two. The buckles picked up faint scratches, and the straps softened enough to be easier to adjust. Nothing loose, nothing sloppy. just early signs of use. So far, I've done very little. A quick brush after dirty wears, and one light conditioning to keep the leather healthy. The steerhide doesn't need constant attention, and I think letting it breathe a little is best at this stage. The scuffs and creases that shown are part of the boot's early character. I don't see them as flaws. Visually, the difference between day 1 and month 3 isn't huge, but it's noticeable. The brand new shine has dulled slightly in spots. The shafts look less like cardboard tubes, and more like boots that belong to someone. The vamp creases give them life. They don't look untouched anymore. On foot, they shifted from rigid and new to just breaking in. They don't have heavy patina yet, but the changes are starting to show. To wrap this up, 3 months in, the Attractions Biltbuck Lot.269 have softened just enough to be wearable all day. They've picked up light creasing, a few scuffs, and some early character while still holding on to their structure. They're not fully broken yet, but they're moving in that direction. They won't transform overnight, and that's what makes the journey worthwhile. I'll keep wearing them, and I'll check back in at 6 months and 1 year marks to see how far they've come. If you are finding this helpful so far, don't forget to subscribe for more reviews.